I'm running away from this pain. I'm trying to find a new way where the sun's shining down on my face. I'm running away. You're in a toxic relationship. Time to be free. I'm trying to find a new way where the sun's shining down on my face. I'm running away. You're in a toxic relationship. Time to be free.
Alright, welcome to another live stream and welcome back to Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. As you can see, the weather's not so great. The plan for today was to rescue my stranded Cessna 172. So we're on FSEconomy and I wanted to take my 172 out and do a bit of a navigation flight for you guys on the stream, but I realized that someone had flown my 172 out to an airport with no fuel facilities and left it there empty. So now we've got to mount a rescue to go and take some fuel over so that I can fly my 172 out of that airport. And when I had a look at doing this flight, the weather wasn't this bad. So we're at this is my Beechcraft Bonanza, and this is currently at a little airport owned by Sappi in South Africa. We're up in the kind of northeastern side of South Africa. And so we're going to take this over to my FBO at Skukuza, pick up some fuel, and then run that out to Brits Airport north of Pretoria to rescue my 172. So I've had a look at the weather at Skukuza, and it's not great, but the cloud base is a lot higher, so we should be able to get into Skukuza no problem, but getting out of this small little airport is going to be interesting. So let's start powering up the Bonanza. So we'll turn the batteries on and the alternators, and I'm actually going to need the lights. It's afternoon here, but because of the weather, it's really dark. Okay, then we'll bring the avionics on, and we will get ready to fire up the engine. So let's just get that started. Let's double check that everything is clear, which we pretty much are. Alright, so we'll turn this up and prop to full, make sure that this is full. Fuel selector is on the left tank. Parking brake is set, and we will go ahead and start up. And our nav and beacon lights can come on. Right, now that that's done, let's go and set up our flight plan. And before we do that, let's just lean our mixture since we're on the ground. Okay, so our plan today is we are at Foxtrot, no, sorry, we are at Zulu. (2-7) Golf, which is the Sappi airport, and it's only about a 15-20 minute flight, so we're going to go direct to Skukuza, which is Foxtrot Alpha Sierra and Zulu. So that's the first leg. We'll head into Skukuza, pick up the fuel, and we'll go from there to Brits. Alright, and I think that's all we need to set up for now. We're just about ready to go. So we'll go flaps 1 for takeoff. Oh, you don't really have position 1. You've got to approach and down, pretty much. But we'll go flaps to the first detent for our takeoff today. Now, I don't know if I'm going to be able to ask for pushback here. Doesn't look like it, so we're kind of going to have to just drive through this guy. It'll be okay. Alright, let's double check that everything's clear. That vehicle has moved off, so we'll release the parking brake. And we'll taxi out to the right here. I don't think the parking brake actually released. There we go, that's why. Awkward. Okay, that's better. Sorry dude, I hope this doesn't kill me. Good. No collision. Okay, so doing a bit of a loop around there. And we can now bring on the rest of our lights. So we'll put on our taxi light, get us out to the... Geez, the viz is so bad. I can't actually see the entrance to the runway, which should be right ahead of us. Okay, so we'll go landing lights on as well, and the strobes, and definitely the pitot heat. As you can see, the nice volumetric lighting there, that the visibility is really bad in front of us. So there is a windsock here, but because of the viz we can't actually see it. So I did check earlier, and the wind was coming from behind the direction I'm facing now, so we should be taking off in the opposite direction. So let's just hope it stayed the same. We'll taxi out here and take off to the east. And I'm really glad to have the synthetic vision here in the Garmin system. Otherwise, this would be even more perilous than it already is. Obviously, in real life, I'm not sure that you would do this for real. Okay, there we can actually see the windsock now. And it is facing that way, so hardly any wind though, which is nice. So we should have no issues on the takeoff. Okay, while we are taxiing out, I'm going to set my autopilot. We're going to keep nice and low today. I am running the turbo mod for the Bonanza, so we could go all the way up to 25,000 feet or so, but I'm going to keep us down at 7.5 to avoid any icing, because if we go up too high with this moisture in the air, we're definitely going to hit icing and run into issues with that. So it's going to keep us at 7,500 to avoid any issues with icing, which means we're going to be probably in the thick of the soup, but we'll make do. You really love the rain effects on the windshields in the new flight sim. Alright, so here we are. Runway 09. Alright, let's just push our mixer up slightly. All looks good. T's and P's are in the green. We'll go full throttle. And with the turbo mod, this aircraft has so much more power. It's a dream to fly. Okay, T's and P's, everything's still in the green. There's 80 knots. Rotate. It is bumpy. Okay, and let's get up in the air. There's 100 knots. We can bring the flaps in. Again, I've just noticed for some reason FSEconomy has loaded all our fuel into the right tank, so let's switch this over. May have just been that whoever flew this before only ran it on the left tank. Probably should have noticed that before we took off. Okay, and I'm going to go straight onto the autopilot here, so that we can keep an eye on things without any issues. So we'll go vertical speed of 1,000 feet. We'll go nav mode. Okay, that's not what I wanted. I just wanted to turn on the flight director. Interesting, there we go. Okay, so vertical speed up 1,000. And we'll go GPS and let's turn on the autopilot. And that will take us up to 7,500 feet, which is well above any of the terrain. So we are all good for now. The other thing I'm going to plan for is a diversion. Let's set this to GPS. There we go. Because when I checked about half an hour ago, the weather at Skukuza was fine to get in under the cloud base and have enough visibility to land, because there's no ILS or anything there. There isn't even runway lights. So if we arrive at Skukuza and it looks like this, there is no ways we're going to be able to land. So the closest airport within ILS is, I think, Kruger and Mpumalanga. Let me go and pull that up. Oh, excuse me. Okay, so it looks like Kruger doesn't have an ILS. That's going to be interesting. So if we have to divert... Huh. I wonder where the closest airport is. That's definitely something I should have known before we departed. Okay, so 7,000 feet we're outside of the clouds, which is nice. Okay, Kruger does have an ILS, so we have runway 5 ILS, so that's where we'll go if we run into any issues when we get to Skukuza, which is good to know. Yeah, one thing that I do know about Skukuza Airport, let's pull back our RPM a bit, and we'll come off the throttle since we're cruising now. It is going to be a bumpy ride, but we'll ride it out. Temperature is still 15 degrees, so we could actually go up higher. About 20 minutes out, so let's maybe take us up to 9,500. Okay, so one thing I do know, and that Papa Kilo Victor, that's the VOR at Kruger and Mpumalanga, so that's where we'll be going if we need to divert. But let's unlock our map here. This can be a bit fiddly, but I want to go and look at at Skukuza, because there are a couple of little nav aids that we can use to actually line up with the runway. So if I plot these in, and we want to land to the north because that's where the wind was earlier. Okay, so we've got Sierra Zulu 2 Tango 1, so I'm actually going to make a note of these two. Obviously once I open up the flight plan page, I'm not going to be able to see them as easily. So we've got Sierra Zulu 2 Tango 1 and Sierra Zulu 2 Foxtrot 1. So if I put those into my route, it's actually going to line us up nicely with the runway at Skukuza. So let's go and do that now. No, I don't want to do that. I want to do this. Where is my cursor gone? I wonder if it's because of this. Let's try again. There we go. Okay, so the first one is going to be Sierra Zulu. Sierra Zulu 2. Tango 1. And then the next one is Sierra Zulu 2 Foxtrot 1. Like so. And that'll help us line up with the runway. Even if the visibility isn't great on the approach, obviously we're still going to need decent visibility as we get a bit closer to the runway, but that at least will put us in line with the runway itself, which is going to be a big help. Alright, so our aircraft is just bringing us back on track here, and it looks like we're heading into the storm once again. I wonder what would happen if we actually let's see if we can ask them for an RFR clearance. I don't know where to, because I didn't set any flight plan when I loaded the flight.
Approach Beechcraft Zulu Sierra.
Oh, so it's picked it up that I've put it into the GPS.
Uniform Oscar Bravo request IFR to Foxtrot Alpha Sierra Zulu, ready to copy.
Beechcraft Zulu Sierra, Bravo Oscar November, is cleared to Foxtrot Alpha Sierra Zulu Airport as filed. Squawk 0151.
So it's called 0151.
Beechcraft Zulu Sierra, Bravo Oscar November, cleared to Foxtrot Alpha Sierra Zulu Airport as filed. Squawk 0151.
So I wonder if they're going to give us weird vectors, or if they're going to let us actually follow that approach that we've set. We shall have to see what they say next.
Beechcraft Bravo Oscar November, read that correct. Radar contact 9,000.
You see, they want us to go up to 17,000 feet.
QNH 30.15, continue to SD2T1 turning, and following heading 075 for Zulu navigation climb, and maintain 17,000 feet.
Not going to do that. We're at 9 degrees at 9,500 feet. We go up to 17,000. We are going to get icing for sure.
Bravo Oscar November.
Beechcraft Bravo Oscar November, you are 40 miles southwest. Maintain present heading and altitude. Expect vectors visual runway 17 approach.
Yeah, so only the visual approach is available at Skukuza, which makes sense. Oh, I can't click on anything. Probably going to shout at me for my altitude. No. I don't know if everyone's experiencing this, but I always have huge delays like this when using the built-in HEC. So I tend to just leave it, and in fact,
Beechcraft Bravo Oscar November, roger.
you know, it takes so long. Let's just go and top those, and we'll just pretend that that never happened. Okay, so sitting just on top of the cloud base now. We're about 12 minutes out from Skukuza. Let me see if I can get some weather data. Of course I can.
Beechcraft Bonanza, Oscar November, acknowledge, last transmission.
Oh, you still talking to me? Oh, I changed the nav radio, that's why. Wow, idiot. That's better. Hey, Skukuza Airport. Right, no weather information available. So let's go and see what's close. However, just looking at the weather map, the bad visibility ends kind of halfway between where we are. Well, halfway between Nelspruit is just this side of Kruger and Skukuza, so it looks like we will be perfectly fine. So we should, in a few minutes, come out on the other side of this low cloud and have no issues getting into Skukuza, which is great news. Now, I was planning to fly my 172 once we've dropped off the fuel. I was planning to fuel it up and fly it back into Sappi, but with those weather conditions, that's not gonna happen. We will leave that for probably tomorrow, possibly another day. Because I like to fly the 172 without the glass cockpit, which means we don't have that synthetic vision, and there's absolutely no ways we'll get into that runway with the classic 172. It's not going to happen. So we'll do that another day. Now we just got to focus on getting into Skukuza. So 9.5 minutes to go. I did change the fuel over. We're on the right tank. Barely seems to be coming down. Okay, no icing that I can see, which is good. We are still at 9 degrees, so we should be alright. And we can see sunshine out ahead, so it looks like our weather map is correct. There's a nice little break in the clouds. It is kind of a late afternoon here. So local time 4 o'clock, 4:05. Nice little break in the clouds, that's really cool, but I can see sunshine up ahead, so it looks like the weather map was correct, and we are going to break out of this low cloud before we get to Skukuza, which we can just see appearing on our map right now. Just quickly having a look at Skukuza Airport. Elevation 1,040 feet. So we want to come down to about... So in this aircraft what we do, 1,000 feet, 1,500? I think 1,000 feet will be fine in the Bonanza. So we'll come down to, let's round it up, 2,100 feet. I probably want to be down at that altitude as we turn on these little fixes that I've put in, just to make double sure that we are under the clouds and we can actually find the runway. So I'm just going to dial this down. What did I say? 2,100. That looks really cool. The sim still Not perfect by any means, but it does look fantastic. Okay, I'll put away my little notepad for now. Always, when you're flying, whether it's in the real world or in the sim, notepad and a pen. Very important, especially if you're going to fly online, which I'm planning to get into sometime again. I'm not confident enough to fly online in the new flight simulator in the airliners because of issues with like the autopilot, and also the major thing, I was actually about to do a flight the other day from Cape Town and just doing some VFR circuits, and it was raining with a heavy crosswind, and the VATSIM METAR was reporting no clouds at all, perfect visibility and barely any wind. So there's definitely an issue between the live weather in flight sim and VATSIM's weather, which I'm not keen on flying like that, because obviously you're getting you know, your altimeter readings and all of that, and your wind data from the controller who's working on VATSIM weather, and if it doesn't match the weather in the sim, there's going to be issues. I mean, if I was flying there that day at Cape Town, I would have been taking off from, if I followed the VATSIM controller's instructions, I would have taken off from the runway with a massive tailwind, because he had different wind data to what I had in the sim. So, X-Plane, I'm keen to get back into flying online. On X-Plane, it's been quite a few years since I've flown online, but not yet happy to do that in the new flight sim. And it's interesting because they launched it, the whole thing when they launched it about being VATSIM compatible out of the box, but yeah, you can fly in VATSIM, but it doesn't seem like that synchronization is all there, which I'm not too keen on. Okay, we are 4 minutes out. Let's start our descent. And we'll go back into the soup here, but looks like the cloud base isn't crazy low once we go in here, so it shouldn't be long and we should be out underneath with no issues landing here at Skukuza, hopefully. And into the soup we go. So having a look here, doesn't show any rain at Skukuza at all. But let's hope that is correct. Although rain isn't an issue, it's just the visibility that's the problem. Coming through now, 8,000 feet. And we'll slow it right down now, and let's bring our descent rate down as well, or up. Well, we're descending faster, whether it's descent rate down, descent rate up, you decide. Okay, I want to be at 2,100 feet when we get to these waypoints here, so just to make damn sure we're out of the clouds, which it looks like we're about to break through relatively soon in any case. flew into Skukuza this morning in the TVM. I have an FBO there on FSEconomy, so I fly in and out here quite often, and flew through a massive storm, kind of in the direction we came from, slightly more north though, and broke through the clouds about 2,000 feet above the ground level here at Skukuza, so I'm expecting it to be much the same based on what I've seen. And it looks like we are breaking through now. So Skukuza is 1,000 feet, so we're breaking through about 4,000 feet AGL. No issues whatsoever. We are quite high though, which is an issue. The airport should be off on this side. There it is there. So in terms of our descent, it looks like we're fine. We're out of the clouds, so I'm not too worried about being exactly at 2,100 at this first point. It looks like our descent angle is going to be fine though for getting into Skukuza. Alright, now turning to line up with the second waypoint, which will put us in line with the runway. Hopefully. Why does it look like we're going to overshoot? Okay, so not quite lining up with the runway. Mind you, when it corrects, I think we'll be fine, but let's take the autopilot off. Dealing with this crazy fuel imbalance, which doesn't seem to be changing. I have set it to the right tank. Maybe it's just such a short flight that hasn't actually registered yet. Yeah, let's go flaps 1, gear down. What I think I should probably do is drop it to full. So for those of you that don't know, Skukuza Airport is in the heart of the Kruger National Park, which is a huge game reserve here in South Africa. And a very, very popular tourist destination.
500.
So the area that we're flying over right now is completely wild. Lions, elephants, leopards, you name it, all down there. And on the other side across the river is some of the camping or some of the accommodation facilities at Skukuza. Okay, let's go flaps full. And the apron is right on this end of the runway. When you land to the north, it's a bit annoying because we have to taxi all the way back to this side. But if you have a look at the windsock, you can see the wind is blowing this way. So it was a good choice to land to the north, even though we're going to have a bit of a taxi to deal with. However, not too bad. Nice short landing. Let's bring the flaps up. We will leave the strobes and landing lights on while we taxi down the runway, just in case anyone else decides to land. Why does that windsock looks like it's just done a 180? Am I going mad? I'm sure it was facing us when we landed. Feel like we had a tailwind. Did it just change now, or did I just make a mistake and think it was facing me? Interesting. Okay, so flaps are up, and we will go strobes and landing lights off. I like to park up here by my hangar. This is my FBO in FSEconomy. We'll do a 180 here on the yellow line. And parking brake set. Alright, we'll go ahead and shut down our engine so that we can pick up our fuel. Let me just jump into FSEconomy and sort that out. Okay, so there we have kgs of fuel on board. I'm going to refuel the aircraft we're flying currently as well. It's just because I own, well, it's my fuel here, so I don't have to pay for it, which is nice. So we'll put in 55 gallons of fuel. Nice. Start up our flight. And there we go. We are ready to go all the way down to Brits now. So before we do that, we should program in our route. So I'm going to go back to Sky Vector quickly. Okay, and we are going from Skukuza to Brits, which is Foxtrot Alpha Bravo Sierra. So in between, the only navigation we're going to use, we will do a couple of VORs. Do Witbank, we will do Zonnewater, and Wonderboer. That is interesting. Why is it that I have... Okay, that's not supposed to happen. Is this gonna go away? Okay, my aircraft's completely broken. Oh wow, so that is a remarkable bug that I've never seen before. I'm now inside my pilot and I can't actually do anything in my plane. So it looks like we're gonna have to reload this. That is something I've never had happen before. But of course, if something's gonna go wrong for the first time ever, it's gonna happen on the stream. Can be sure of that. So we're at Skukuza. Let's actually see if this will generate our route for us if we choose yours. Okay, so it's done Kruger as well. And it's left out the water clue for your the others are there. That's cool. Okay, so we can fly that route. Just gonna just set ourselves at the parking. And we will do that. So yeah, as always, a new bug that I've never seen before. Of course, it will happen on stream. It's always the case. Okay, so we'll let that up. Right. Item is completely and utterly broken. Oh wow. That's new. Right. Let's see if we do something like this. Let's load something else. Let's see if we have the same issue. That looks fine. Inside, no problem. Okay, let's go back to... I don't remember which one I was actually flying without seeing them. It looks better. That's the right one. Right, so that's interesting. Now, I'm wondering if that's probably because this is a mod. So I have the turbo mod for the Bonanza. And that's probably what caused, but I don't know why. I've flown this loads of times. I've done FSEconomy flights with it a lot. So I don't know why, what actually caused that to happen. But it seems to be okay now. Okay, so obviously the engine's already on for us. Let's just start our FSEconomy flight. Let's see if that breaks it again. Shouldn't though. Done this loads of times on FSEconomy. Let's jump back in. No weird glasses and hair. It all looks good. Okay, so we are going down to the west. So let's see if we can get up to 10,000 feet. It would actually be exactly 10,000 because we're definitely not flying VFR today. Okay, so landing light can come off, taxi lights on. One thing I have found with this modded version is if you start with the lights on, they aren't actually on, so you need to turn them off and then just switch them on again for them to actually work. So taxi light on, there we go. Right, let's head out to Brits. Oh, please don't let me hit this building. If we hit the building, we will die. Cool. I'm gonna go onto the grass a bit. But we will be fine. The tough aircraft. Okay, so some interesting developments on that situation there. But we are underway, which is good. That a little bit fast, maybe. If I do say so myself. Okay, so we can now go landing lights on and strobes on, and we should probably turn onto the runway. Please concentrate, man. Concentrate. Okay, everything looks good. Should be on the right fuel tank, so let's switch that now. Props full forward. Let's go full throttle. Power set, T's and P's all green. Taking off with a tailwind, always good. $70 knots. And 80 knots, we will rotate. And off we go, gear up. 100 knots, flaps up. Maybe what we do is see if we can stay below the clouds and go VFR as far as possible. Turn out to the left now. So like I said, over the Kruger Park now, this is all bush out in the game reserve. This I think is one of the private campsites or private lodges. I think it's the Jock something. I could be wrong. It's one of the lodges. And all these little paths that you're seeing are actually animal paths, so the animals walking along, going down to the river to get water, walking to specific parts to go and graze, browse, etc. That's what all those little paths are. And you'll see them scattered or winding all over the place here through the Kruger Park. So they're not roads, those are paths. Some of the wider ones will be roads, like that looks like it may be an access road because it goes there around, so that's probably one of the maintenance roads. They're not roads per se, as like as much as they are kind of 4x4 trails, but the park staff will use them to get to areas that they need to maintain and access, etc. Okay, fairly bumpy. But let's go up to 4,500 and see how we do at that altitude. There's the main Skukuza camp out over the left or under the left wing. And there's even a golf course there in the reserve. You can have all sorts of animals join you on the golf course, which can be really cool or really terrifying. I guess depending on you as a person, and also very much depending on what animal decides to show up on that day. Yeah, I don't think the VFR idea is going to work at all. It's not long we're going straight back into the clouds. So I'm going to pop the autopilot on. But I'm going to plan for 10,000 feet. So we'll go to GPS and we'll go to vertical speed. Up 1,000 and we'll pop the autopilot on. And we're going to pay close attention here to our temperature. So our outside air temperature over here. because with this much moisture in the air, if we start getting into the negative, we're going to develop icing very quickly. So we want to keep that at about 3 or 4 degrees at least, to make sure that we don't run into any icing condition. But man, this sim does look fantastic. You can actually see the different layers of clouds. We've got these little kind of broken clouds at the bottom here, and then the proper cloud-based layer above us, which is what we're about to go into, and they kind of merge up ahead, which is really cool. Looks great. So here we go once again into the clouds. And into the clouds we go. Okay, so let's keep an eye on that outside air temperature. So we're approaching 7,000 feet. We're still at 11 degrees. So I reckon if we're at, we get up to 10,000 and we're still, you know, 5-6 degrees above zero, we can possibly look at going up to 12,000. But we'll see how we go. Okay, so outside air temperature 10 degrees, we're almost at 10,000. Let's push it up to 12,000. We should be alright. Obviously the higher we can go, the faster we go, the more efficient we fly. But we want to get up to the highest altitude we possibly can here, without getting into the negative temperatures. Because we are above 10,000, we can turn our landing lights off. And if we still need these lights, bring the panel lights on, but the rest we can leave off. So that we want to avoid. There's a big storm there. That is something we definitely want to stay away from. Yeah, are we going to head into that storm? No, because we are going to turn to the right when we reach Kruger and Mpumalanga here. Which means it looks like we're actually going to go through that gap over there, which will be perfect. I just want to test something on the stream here quickly. The interesting thing is it's actually started raining here where I stay, which is not... It's about a 7-hour drive from where we're flying right now. Okay, so there's our turn over Kruger, and thankfully we're turning away from that storm. That looks really intense. So we're going to kind of fly along the edge of this storm. Hopefully it doesn't move towards us or kind of cut us off as we go through that gap there, because at the moment this looks pretty perfect because there's some weather up that way as well. So we might actually adjust our course slightly to the left just to kind of squeeze between these cells that we're picking up at the moment. Let's have a look at our weather display on the map. So it's showing us pretty much all in front of us, not good. Let's turn this on. Now I'm guessing that these bad areas straight ahead are below us, although these puffy clouds look pretty bad, but we're going to be above that. Hopefully we're okay. We are now heading straight towards that second cell. I think we're going to have to adjust to this side and go around it. That looks, I mean, it looks really cool, but it does look proper nasty. Okay, well, we've got a significant cruise here, so let's go and hop on some music and we can chill out for a bit. The nice thing about it storming in the game and in real life is you won't know if the thunder's coming from the game or from my mind. Actually have a listen. Okay, so the rain's kind of slowing down outside. Okay, let's check our temperature, because it looks like we might actually go into these clouds, which we don't want to do. So we're at 8 degrees, so I think we can push up to 14,000 here, and we should be okay. So it's not looking good in terms of temperature. I'm just thinking maybe we should actually go around this side of the cell. I think we're going to do that because our actual destination is all this side. So I think it'll make more sense probably if we go around to the right hand side of this cell. we should start prepping for that in any case. Okay, so let's set our heading up to do that. I wonder if that cell is actually moving to the left then, because when we first started it looked like we would fit perfectly through the gap. And at least we're flying properly away from that one now. But it's possible that this is just kind of drifting that way. Yeah, this is getting up to our altitude, so let's go and the heading mode, and we'll try our best to stay away from this. Okay, there's our 14,000 feet, so we can throttle back a bit. Our outside air temperature is still 6 degrees, so we should be all good in terms of ice. Bring our power back to 2,600. And we're all looking good. Let's keep monitoring this weather. Try to stay out of those thunderstorms which have been plaguing us along the route. Yeah, I'm actually really glad we didn't pick that gap now, because if we had, it looks like that gap would have been closing on us as we got there. I don't know if it's just me, but it looks like that gap is getting smaller. Maybe it's just the angle because we're traveling around this side of the cell, but it definitely seems like these two are kind of closing in on us. So it's a good choice to go around this side instead of trying to shoot between those two. We can bring us to like 5 degrees. Okay, outside air temperature 7 degrees. Do we go up? Maybe go up 3,000? That's our ground speed at the moment. I'm wondering if we shouldn't go up. So our true airspeed is 201 knots, but we've got a slight... We were indicating 162. We've got a little bit of a headwind component, barely anything. Ground speed of 198, true airspeed of 201. About half an hour to our next VOR. So just looking. So that's interesting. So here, this is the cloud base up above us here, which looks like, I mean, it carries on for 75 miles by the looks of things, but it does end. And then, I mean, how far are we to our next waypoint? 100 miles. So it looks like on our way we should get out of this upper layer that we have here, oops, that we've got, you know, here above us. I suppose we can start seeing out there. It's a bit lighter. Looks like that continues for another 75 miles, but this stuff below us, and that's what's showing up as a, you know, heavy precipitation and turbulence, is the stuff underneath us. So that's why on the next ride, I'm not actually too worried about this pink here, because we're flying above that at the moment. You know, another 70 miles or so, and we should be out of this upper layer, but this bottom layer continues, you know, kind of as far as we can see, really. I think that's 200 nautical miles. We're still seeing that that layer underneath us, so it looks like they'll still be in the soup when we descend into Brits, which once again is not a big airfield. There are mountains on the western side that we'll have to be careful of. I guess you can kind of see it up there. It starts to open up, maybe? I think that might actually just be shadows playing tricks on us. But we can see sunlight coming in on the top there, so definitely looking like this upper layer is we're gonna get out of that soon. But this the soup that we got underneath us, that's gonna be there to stay, unfortunately. Okay, outside air temperature 7 degrees. I think we're gonna try to go up to 16,000. Let's do it. Just to get over these tops, because this stuff here, that to me, I mean, look at that. That is where the turbulence is. It's these little puffy bits that are sticking out here. So we want to stay out of that. I mean, these clouds above us are actually looking relatively mild. So if we do start kind of touching the edge of those, I think that'll be better than going into these ones underneath. But we must keep an eye on this. We push that into the negative, we are going to, for sure, have icing issues. I think in real life this would be pretty terrifying. We've got loads of turbulence and rain down here that we know of. We've got the same over there. If we go display that, definitely this stuff right here, nasty. And this out there, for sure, you don't want to be flying in. Ooh, there's definitely some turbulence there. Our goal is kind of just to sit in this little band in between where it's relatively clear. Also, I'm not really sure how our aircraft is scaling this weather, because it doesn't have a weather radar. Magic plane, look at that. That just looks incredible. We're gonna go ahead and take a nice screenshot there. looking good. Nice little gap that we can see through over there. And coming up here. Once we kind of get a beam this, we want to start coming around. Let's zoom this out. So you can see that we've obviously deviated off our planned course, but with good reason. Okay, we can start bringing us to the left. Another 5 degrees. Slowly bring ourselves back towards our course line. That does just look really cool. Okay, let's bring us left some more. We'll do 10. Good. So we can eventually bring ourselves around this little cell, get ourselves back on course, which will be great. So let's go and have a look here. And we've got this, it's weather all the way along and it's there to stay, so back to the next route. This is the area that we're coming around at the moment, so we want to bring ourselves in, join our course line and carry on. That's the plan so far. See that top layer is now pretty much gone above us, which is just out there. So we might have some sunny skies, some blue skies above us. What I have just realized is that it was actually 4 o'clock when we got to Skukuza. But because we had to restart, it's reset us back to midday, so let's go and put ourselves back to 4 p.m. This was originally supposed to be a nice afternoon flight. That looks absolutely incredible. And that is just massive. Look at the size of that. We're at 16,000 feet. I mean, that thing's going all the way up to 30,000 for sure. You do not want to mess with that. These clouds with us are now starting to get to altitude again. So if we had stuck at our original, 8,000, 10,000 feet, we would have definitely been in the clouds. We're up at 16 and it looks like we're going to start brushing the tops of these any moment. Outside air temperature 6 degrees, so we're still okay for ice, hopefully. Nothing building up on the windshield or on the wings at the moment, which is perfect. Okay, we can definitely come around more to the left. Let's get ourselves back on course. Yeah, so just looking at this, we are going to intercept this, telling us we're off by 9 miles at the moment. So we'll come back to intercept that magenta line, get back on course, stay above the weather, and make our way to Brits to rescue the Cessna 172. 50 kgs of fuel on board, taking it to rescue my stranded 172, which some other FSEconomy user so ungraciously landed at an airport with no fuel facilities, with no fuel on the aircraft. So we're going to rescue it with some fuel. And of course, dealing with some weather along the way. But that's what makes these flights interesting. One thing's for sure, we're definitely not flying the 172 back after this. We're going to wait until tomorrow and some better weather to be able to do that, because there is no ways flying a 172 through all of this, you know, at 8,000 feet. Not going to work. And even if we did manage to get it through the storm here, landing it at Sappi with the visibility that we started with, never going to work. We're going to go through this little cloud here. Outside air temperature 6 degrees, still good. Let's check out our course deviation, 6.5 miles off. Okay, so we should be fairly close to our course now. 3.6 miles off. Ground speed still around 200 knots. True airspeed 206. Everything's in the green. And what I'm actually going to do is switch over to our left fuel tank now, just so we can keep our fuel relatively balanced, not like it was left before. Okay, so just passing 3 miles off our GPS course, which we're going to merge with fairly soon. Weather's alright. That top layer, like we said, is we've now out of that top layer with nothing above us. Although you still see some clouds there, but obviously no unstable air up there that we need to worry about, which is why our weather radar is not picking anything up there. Remember, the weather radar doesn't actually scan clouds, it's picking up mostly moisture and unstable air. So this red is showing us not that there's clouds there, but that there's unstable air there. So there are clouds above us, but they're not too much of an issue, which is why we aren't picking up anything on our weather radar. Okay. We're very close to being on course here. About 18 minutes to go to our next VOR. Okay, let's go engage nav mode, and our plane will go and follow that GPS route. We're heading away from the storm, which is great. Still got some not so nice weather below us, but we're heading away now from that massive cell. Luckily we chose to go around to the right, otherwise we would have gotten stuck and squeezed between those two big cells on either side. Looks like we are going to go into this weather here ahead of us. So as you can see, here's the midpoint. I'm just showing us this is ever so slightly above the aircraft's level, so we are going to go into this. Temperature 5 degrees, so it is dropping. Obviously it is getting later. That's how time works. And as it gets in the real world, it is currently here 10:30 at night, so it is obviously going to start cooling down fairly dramatically. We're going to have to keep an eye on that. If we do start heading into 1-2 degrees, we're going to have to think about descending. And then we have a choice to make. Do we go down into the red to avoid icing up and get thrown about, or do we try and stay above and hope that we don't have issues with icing? But that's something we'll have to start thinking about once the temperature gets a little lower. We're still fine for now. Okay, 16 minutes to go to our next VR, which is Zonnewater. And after that, we are going to from there to the Waterkloof VR, which for some reason, sorry, not Waterkloof, Bonneborn, which has the code Delta top of it. That's one I can't explain to you. Same with Zonnewater. What's it? Charlie Zulu Victor? No idea. No idea. I mean, actually, I think about it, Kruger's Papa Kilo Victor. I mean, the kilo, I guess, for Kruger. The Papa, not so much. Because if you take, like, Johannesburg, Juliet, no, I can't think. Juliet Sierra Victor. Sense, Johannesburg JS. But, CZ for Zonnewater. Can't explain that one. And DP for Bonneborn, even less. But hey, it doesn't matter what they're called, as long as we can get to them. That's not what I wanted to push. So, the next thing we have to worry about is, let's see how far away. We're 44 miles from Zonnewater. Excuse me. mean, this weather looks like it's extending all the way out to about 18, 19, even 100 miles at some point. So I wonder if we're going to be able to get into Brits like this. I mean, there's no runway lights, there's no ILS, nothing there. There's a little bit of terrain around it. We do have the synthetic display, obviously, which will help us a lot with the terrain avoidance, but I wonder if we're going to make it in. Wonder if on our flight plan page, so we can see. So we're 45 miles to Zonnewater, and then it's 18 miles and 25 to Brits. So let's add that up quickly. I was not born to do maths. 45, 18, 25, so that's 88 miles. So just by looking at that, and then going here, and it looks like Brits is going to be right on the edge of that weather. So hopefully we have enough of us to get in there, even if we can get under the clouds and into the airport, as long as, you know, right above the airport we don't have clouds like we did at Sappi down to, you know, pretty much the ground. As long as that's not the case, we'll be okay to get in. But if it is like it was when we took off, not gonna work. We should probably think about diverting in that case. Pretty simple, we've got a bottom bomb. Yeah, that's where we'll go. I think I'm actually gonna program that in so long as we. If we cannot get in at Brits, we are going to go to Foxtrot, Alpha, Whiskey, Bravo, no, Whiskey, Bravo, Ottawa, Pretoria. Which is over there. So if we can't get into Brits, we're just going to come straight back to Ottawa. And Syria is also an option. If we'll have a look at Ottawa when we get there now. Looking at this, not too. I mean, there is some orange and red around there, but I mean, it doesn't look like that. That thunderstorm is way out there, so it looks like it could be all right. Could be okay, but we've got one of them is our first option. Let's actually go and put in that Syria as our second divert if we can't get into one of them. So that's Foxtrot Alpha, email. International. So they will go to that's his Onavada, Wonneworm, out to Brits if we can't get in, back to Wonneworm if we can't get in there, as well out to Lanceria. Lanceria has an ILS. Actually, Wonneworm has an ILS as well. Let us check. I think it actually might. If it does, then we will be fine getting in there. Okay, let's double check. We're still on the right hand tank, which is perfect. Oh no, we're on the left hand tank. Yeah, let's switch over. That's why you double check. I see over the clouds this top layer is now ending, which is cool. Got some late afternoon sun above us. It's almost 4 in the sim. It is almost 11:45 in the real world or at night. Okay, let's have a look at one of them. They have a break cloud NDB procedure. Let's have a look at this. Let's see, let me actually put this up on the stream. Hang on. Right, so now we can actually look at this. Let's see. Maybe not zoom it in so much for you guys. There we go, that looks good. So, our procedure here is okay, so we're coming at 7,000 feet. Our initial approach fix is the Wonneworm NDB. It's also the final approach fix. Interesting. So we approach the Wonneworm NDB. Oh, we'll actually be other sided. Okay, we're 11 degrees. And 5 miles from the NDB, right turn to 291 and 6,000 feet, and then we descend 2.5 degree slope, which we have our calculations down here so we can work that out. 5,100 feet at crossing the Wonneworm NDB, and that'll put us in line with the runway. So that's something we could try if we don't get into Brits, which I think we're going to. So hang on, I'm thinking now, reading this chart, obviously I'm not a rail pilot, but I'm guessing we would come in, cross the NDB at 7,000 feet, right turn to 111 degrees, then we need to descend on this leg to be at 5 miles from the Monoworm NDB, and at 5 miles we need to be at 6,000, complete our turn to 291, and then cross it again at 5,100 on this 4.3% descent. And this is based on ground speed, so we were doing 100 knots ground speed we'd have to do for 3.3 per minute descent. Huh, okay. That's something that we can definitely do. Okay, so we're about 2 minutes out from the Zonnewater. We are still got the cloud there below us. That's not going anywhere by all indications. From here, what did we say? It's about 18 miles. 18 miles to Monoworm and then 25 miles to Brits. A little while still to go. All of our T's and P's are in the green. True airspeed 207, ground speed 195, so we've dropped ground speed significantly. And that's just because our wind is now a full-on headwind at 13 knots. So we had a bit of a mostly coming from the side earlier at 5 knots, which means we had a slight headwind component. Now it's a full-on headwind 13 knots, which is why our ground speed has dropped 6 knots or so. Not to worry, we are still making perfectly good progress. Okay, coming up to these on the VOR. Make a very slight right turn towards Monoworm. Weather seems to be getting better. There is still a bit of red there. Mind you, up here there was mostly green, so it seems like this entire storm system, or this weather system, is just moving out to the northeast ready. Let's go over here. Horizontal and this way. Yeah, so we're about 40 miles out. I think Brits, I think we're gonna be fine. Let's be positive. We'll believe we're gonna make it in there. Is the one of the NDB that we were looking at on that approach procedure. So I'm just having a look on Chartbox to see if there's anything available for Brits, but I'm 95% sure there's nothing. Nope. No worries. Okay, and we are now on our way to Waterbourne. 3 minutes, 25 seconds out. Okay, so elevation at Brits, 3,740, so we'll round that to 3.8. So that means our at an altitude will be 4,800 feet. So let's go and dial that in, so long. Because it's not long after Waterbourne that we're going to have to start descending to get into... we want to try and get under these clouds as soon as possible so that we have the best chance of actually seeing the runway at Brits when we get close enough. So, just about overhead Waterbourne. And we are now turning out slightly to the right on our way to Brits. So, how long is it going to take us to get there? It's about 7.5 minutes. Not going to wait too long to start our descent. But let's work it out. So we've got to descend to, what did I say? Oh, I said 4,800. So let's say 5,000 feet. Currently at 16,000. That means we need to descend 11,000 feet. If we do that at 1,000 feet a minute, we need 11 minutes. Which is obviously a lot longer than we're actually going to take. So we're going to start our descent, and we are going to descend at, obviously we need to do more than 1,000 feet a minute. but we're also going to slow down. So at 7 minutes, as you can see, is kind of staying where it is because we're decreasing our speed as well. Which gives us some more time to descend. At 1500 feet a minute is a pretty comfortable descent. So we'll continue that down into Brits. We've got about 6.5 minutes left to go. We'll try get underneath these clouds and see if we're actually going to be able to make it into the airfield. Otherwise we're heading back to Brits to do the brake cloud NDB procedure. Sorry, not to Brits. We'll be heading back to Bonanza to try the brake cloud NDB procedure if we cannot get into Brits under these clouds. Let's actually go and have a look at our weather display. We want the vertical display. So we are what, 17 miles from Brits, so we're looking somewhere out here. You can see below us it's a couple of thousand feet. This scale's very difficult to tell actually.
I'm trying to find a new way where the sun's shining down on my face. I'm running away. You're in a time.
Now this is what confuses me about this, because if I zoom in and out, this 60,000 minus and plus 60,000 feet should change. Otherwise it doesn't make any sense, because now if I zoom all the way in, it's telling me that these clouds are down at 60,000 feet below our altitude, which is impossible because we're only 12,000 feet above the ground. So maybe I'm just reading this completely wrong, but my understanding is that that should update. It's the same as in DCS. If you're adjusting your radar range, your kind of slice that you're scanning, the top and bottom, or the top and the bottom of the slice are going to change based on how far out you're looking, because it's not a rectangle, it's a triangle, as you can see here. So the further out you go, the higher and lower you get. That's just my understanding. I think we're going to make it through the clouds. That is, or what you should have got out of that, whatever this was.
I'm running away from this pain. I'm trying to find a new way where the sun's shining down on my face. I'm running away. You're in a toxic relationship.
Okay, into the clouds we go. So there's 10,000 feet. Let's bring our landing lights on. We'll put our taxi lights on for good measure as well. Make us just as visible as we possibly could be in these conditions. And we can see the turbulence starting to affect us now. 3 minutes, 40 seconds out. We'll start bringing the power back even more. Slow us down nicely. If you have a look on the synthetic display here, those mounted there are just to the east, just to the west of the runway. So the runway's here somewhere, and that's what we need to be careful of. So if we do decide to go around, we're going to turn right, we're not going to turn left, just to be safe. They're not particularly high little hills, but just to be safe, if we do decide we cannot see the runway, we need to go around, we are going to the right. But hopefully we're going to break out of the clouds pretty soon, and so we'll actually be able to see. I can just barely see the ground through there, so I think we have a good chance here of breaking out of the clouds and being able to see the runway, do a nice visual approach into Brits, drop off this fuel, rescue the Cessna. Yeah, look at that. Starting to see the ground. No worries. So I actually want to turn off extra right here. Okay, so we've broken through the clouds. We are coming in pretty fast though, but the runway should be just here. That looks like it there. Oh, sorry, here it is here. Okay, let's go and take the music off. We need to concentrate. So you know, you always see better when there's no music. We'll just clear that warning and we'll go prop full forward. Okay, so the idea or the goal now is to get ourselves into that white arc so we can get dirty for landing. Okay, so flaps 1. We'll turn nicely onto final here, gear can come down. We'll go flaps full because we want to slow down as much as possible here. Get all the drag out, get dirty. Start bringing in the power now. And luckily, as expected, the visibility is perfectly fine here. We've got the cloud base above us, it's still storming out there, but we can see perfectly fine, no problems. The runway is in sight. Get on, 3 green, flaps full. Oh, okay. Relax. Okay, so welcome to Brits. We'll taxi over to the hangar to drop off this fuel for our Cessna. Let's bring the flaps up. Turn around at the end here, and we will taxi back to the hangar, or to the apron I should say, and then we can drop off this fuel to get our Cessna up and running again. So if you are someone who flies on FSEconomy, be nice, don't leave people's aircraft stranded at airports with no fuel, because we have to fly through weather like that go and rescue our aircraft. Sometimes they're just, you know, nice people out there who rescue your aircraft before you even realize. You know, I had it the other day. My TBM, someone stranded in the middle of the Congo, and before I actually realized, some nice person messaged me to say, hey man, I picked up some fuel, rescued your TBM. And so I sent him a little bit of cash, just to say thanks. Alright, there we go. Successful flight into Brits. Some interesting weather. Let's go and turn these off. Landing lights off, strobe lights off. Interesting weather along the way. We managed to dodge all of the storms. Bit of turbulence. A bit of a crosswind on the landing. I still found the rudder very twitchy in flights in 2020. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I just haven't got my curve settings correct yet. But I still found it very tough on the rudder, especially if you have a heavy crosswind. Alright, we'll end our flight there with the parking brake, so FSEconomy is registered that we are here, and we can shut down. So, mixture, mags can come off, we'll go alternators off, the rest of our lights can come off, pitot heat off, rock can come all the way back, avionics off, and the last of our batteries off. Right, so that brings us to the end of this flight and to the end of the stream, and a good 2 hours there dodging the thunderstorms around Johannesburg, South Africa. Thanks for watching, and I will see you again soon. Bye bye. Obviously forgot to cue my outro before saying goodbye. Classic. Bye for realsies.